Hi, I'm Netta. Welcome to Netta Heals. I wanted to offer a spoken piece, a spoken version of the blog I'm sharing on Substack this week. Before we dive in together, I thought we'd take a moment and just arrive and create a little space. If it feels okay to you, notice your body. Take a moment to notice where your body's touching the surface. Really feel the connection. Lean into it. Let your system slow down a little bit. Take a moment and notice your breath. Maybe as you exhale, allow your shoulders to drop, maybe your jaw to soften. Let's create some calm together as we enter the space of listening, sharing, feeling. What I want to talk about is something that can be surprisingly hard to see, especially while it's happening. It's something I've seen in a lot of people I work with. Also, honestly, I recognize it in myself, especially in early life dynamics and relationships. It's the difference between feeling deeply connected and feeling relieved. That is a kind of realization that can reorganize your entire dating history or relationship history in one single moment. What the pattern looks like or ultimately what the pattern is like it's when deep connection gets confused and is actually relief. Give me a moment to dive into it and help make sense of it. First off, let me say that experience is not always bad. It's not always a trauma response. Not every intense relationship is a bad one. If you've lived with things being hot and cold, never quite knowing what you're going to get next, you might recognize this pattern, especially if that was your childhood dynamic. You might recognize it even if you've never named it. Here's what it looks like. You're in a dynamic and something feels off. You start to feel anxious. You might get a little obsessive, like you're looking for the text. You might be a little unsure of where you stand. Something shifts, the other person softens a bit, they reach towards you, they offer some reassurance, they offer some warmth. What you feel in your body is this big, big feeling. It can feel incredibly meaningful. It can feel like something important to you just got confirmed. Sometimes that sensation in your body that happens when the person reaches towards you is something much simpler. It's really just that your nervous system is finally unclenching, relaxing. That matters. That relief is real, but it's not the same thing as connection. Relief is the easing of distress. It's the system letting down. It's when your body stops bracing. It's when the exhale you've been holding on to finally gets expressed. When that happens with another person, it can feel a lot like closeness. Sometimes it might be. At the same time, there's a real difference between relief and closeness. Relief says the discomfort has ended. Connection says I feel safe and known and like myself here. Those two experiences can overlap. Really, we always want them. We always want both in a relationship. And there's nothing wrong with relief. It's important. Relief and connection are not the same thing. When they get confused, we can find ourselves attached to something that isn't actually nourishing. Sometimes we're not bonding to a person, even though we think we might be. We're bonding to the cycle of tension and then release, and again, tension, bracing and release, and again, tension, bracing, fear, anxiety, and release. In that process, the nervous system, for all of its intelligence, is not above getting a little confused. It can take emotional whiplash and call it destiny. I've seen this a lot. I've seen it in a lot of relationships. If your system learned to organize around unpredictability, which happens if in our early lives we had a lot of unpredictability, then relief becomes so powerful. It's often something we've been longing for. If closeness has been tangled up with fear, then reassurance can really almost feel sacred. Here's why that's important. When we feel that way, we can start giving a lot of significance to the person that stops our distress, instead of asking whether they are someone who creates safety in the first place. Those two things are not the same thing. You might start to feel the evidence of that in some of these small ways. Here's some things to clue you in. You might be spending more time waiting or wondering or recovering. You might notice that their attention feels more powerful, mainly because it's inconsistent, or that you feel most bonded, most close right after things were uncertain. All of these can be pulls that are really strong. Strong doesn't always mean right or good. Real connection often feels very different from all of that. It's not dramatic. Sometimes it's just easier. You can relax. You tend to feel more like yourself. You're not constantly trying to figure out what's happening, where things are. You don't have to recover from it. I think the real pivot, the way we actually start moving from relief towards real connection, is in the moments of noticing and being able to see what's happening in our bodies while it's actually happening, not after but during. The shift in that dynamic occurs when, for a moment, something in you pauses and says, I don't actually feel close right now. I feel activated. I want this person to make my distress go away. When you notice, this feels big. It feels big, but partly because I've been deprived. That awareness creates some space. Inside that space, a different question becomes available, perhaps a more important question, which is, do I actually like this person? Or do I like that they stop me from hurting for a moment? It's a very honest question. It's not meant to be harsh or cynical. It's just clarifying. I want to acknowledge that even though insight alone doesn't always change the pattern, it begins something. It begins like you're just beginning to pull the thread on the yarn that's been tangled. So be gentle. You can have deep understanding and still feel frozen when it comes to doing something different. That doesn't mean you're failing at all. It means your body is still needing support. Your system isn't saying, I don't want connection at all. It's saying, I need relief. And that deserves respect. In that space where you're now wanting to tend both to the relief need and the desire for connection, force is not the way to go. Gentleness is. Gentleness can look like creating smaller, more honest experience of connection and noticing when they're there, how they feel. Gentleness is moving slowly and paying attention to how you feel after an interaction, not just during it. Gentleness is about letting things be reversible and practicing simple boundaries, saying no when you want to. And also continually checking in with yourself by asking, am I becoming more myself here or less? That's a really important question. And the process in this, the goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to stay connected to yourself while you reach towards someone else. A lot of us confuse real connection, are confused about real connection because we were taught to measure love by intensity. Intensity isn't always closeness. We need a new way to measure deep connection and to recognize it. I want to offer a different set of questions that might serve you better. Here they are. Can I tell the truth in this relationship? Can I move at my own pace? Can I have boundaries? Can I stay myself? Can I stay with myself? Can I relax? If no comes up, that's really important information. Truth can be hard to be with sometimes. The desire for closeness and support is important and not a problem. The real work is in learning where to place that desire. As we explore that, sometimes there's grief that shows up, because when you begin to see these dynamics more clearly, you might also see that some of what felt like love was actually hunger. That can be painful. It's also very freeing, because once you know the difference between the two, the difference between love and relief, hunger and connection, you can choose differently. Not perfectly, but at least with a little more clarity. Before we close, I want to offer you something simple, a place of reflection. Next time you feel that rush of connection, pause for a moment, give yourself a little space. Maybe place your hand on your heart. Just come back home to yourself for a moment and gently ask, am I leaning towards this person because there's something that feels safe there? Or am I leaning away from the discomfort I was just in? You don't have to change anything. It's just a practice of awareness, of noticing. I'd love to hear how that question feels in you and where it takes you. If you're moved to share, come join the conversation in the comments on Substack. If this work resonates with you, please share it. Please subscribe. That's a beautiful way for us to stay in contact in this practice together. I really appreciate your presence. Thank you for being here with me. Take good care of yourself and your nervous system. See you next time.